integrated design from the experience of a business designer or related to a business design project. I want to start with this architecture project, the Yokohama boat terminal, designed by FOA, and a brilliant piece of architecture, in my opinion, which integrates so many concepts and ideas, so many philosophies, shapes, new materials, new approaches towards planning, new interpretations of what is a surface, what is a wall, what is movement within a building. It was an extremely beautiful structure that meshed up a lot of ideas during the competition phase. But when it got to the construction phase, it became an integrated headache, because there was no technology to actually manifest or realize the designs that were made with form-oriented softwares, not manufacturing softwares. So all these amazing curves and detailing and kind of intersections and aesthetics achievements became extremely labor-intensive and manual to realize. And what happened as a result is that FOA, as a design firm, defaulted into a very kind of banal, to my opinion, approach towards design. So this entire kind of richness of forms and ideas and philosophies that were integrated into this product ended up with the next product being a nice mosaic. And I think this is one of the problems with integrated designs. And I want to tell you from my experience as a designer by education who turned into an entrepreneur and who's actually doing business design projects and helping companies manage innovation projects, that this kind of intersection is really, really not that simple or not that intuitive. So I started as an entrepreneur. I co-founded 2 software companies, and then I realized that the richness of doing new ideas in a business environment is extremely like designing new opportunities. I'm also part of the group, Google Experts Group. That means that I'm helping Google establish a lot of acceleration programs around the world and support other entrepreneurs while they're doing this unintuitive or complicated mashup between entrepreneurship, strategy, and designs. And the thing why it's interesting and why it's important is because without this mixture, you really get like partial parts of it. So strategy and entrepreneurship is very limited and uninspiring if it's not involved with any design. But strategy and design, if it doesn't come with entrepreneurship, it just remains theory. And if design and entrepreneurship mesh together, but they're not strategically aligned, they're not strategically driven, they become mannerism. By practice, I realized that I am a disruptor-neur. And what disruptors do is they form sorts of initiatives that are intended to change the rules of the game. Disruption changes the rules of the game. It changes the reality and forces us to respond to that. If we're actually trying to change the game, we need to think about it in a different sense. And businesses are extremely disrupted now, and especially with all this notion of design, because design thinking is bombarded into businesses from left to right, and they feel like compelled or maybe even unintentionally obliged to deal with this design thinking, and they don't really understand what it means. So some theories are presented to them and says like, okay, so you need to combine all the disciplines together now in order to make a successful business and actually, do good as an enterprise. But when they go and look for stuff, this is what you get for business design. So you get like business cards and beautiful diagrams that have no information in them. They are useless as tools. So it just adds up to the confusion, and it kind of leaves design and this whole notion of creativity as this miraculous thing that people are hoping that will fall on them one time. But when you actually look into innovations, you actually see that they're super complicated because they're happening in so many areas, and they require the integration of so many fields, so it's not an easy task at all. And because of these complexities, we get the results of like, your call is important to us. And usually you get that when you're waiting on the line for an hour. A friend of mine and a colleague, Milan Gunther, and called it, he said, this is corporate awkwardness. So you get these awkward things as a result of design not getting integrated fully okay, with the user experience, with the products, with the processes, with the methods, with the tools. And I think this represents why is that, because the business managers, they're all about money. And you have the designers, and they're playing with sticky notes and developing all these concepts and making ideas. And of course, you have the design manager, okay, who's the responsible adult. He needs to combine the money and the ideas and stuff like that, but there are very few of them existing. And as Wolfgang said in his talk, they actually require a lot of education and a lot of skills and a lot of experience. And also maybe even a kind of an understanding what is design. I mean, we're talking about integrated design. There's a lot of people who are not really sure what is design at all. So I came up with this simple explanation for myself, which is basically design is an intervention in a system that generates additional value. So if there's an intervention and there's a system and it generates additional value, it's a design. And if we want to design, we need to follow up on these elements. But the reality is that most people don't see design like that. They see design as nice and useless things. Design is kind of, yeah, let's make it nicer. And maybe it was all right, I mean, before, but if we look at reality now, we're totally changing. We're totally shifting from economies of fast-moving consumer goods, which is basically about yogurts and drinks and all these industrial products that were needed to be wrapped nicely so we could buy them. We're moving into fast-moving applications and services. So it's not just about the interface itself, it's about the methods and the tools and intermediary products that are helping us get to the actual goal. The goal is not the yogurt, the goal is not the app, the goal is what we're doing with them. And if we look at the Industrial Revolution, when we had tools, and they basically were really crappy and really kind of not exciting, and we needed to introduce some aesthetics into them. At some point, this aesthetic became kind of a fixation with entertainment. And entertainment is interesting, but it's not productive. So we're moving from entertainment to productivity. And from nice to have to must happen, because we are surrounded by all these nice things that we want and that we desire. And of course, when everybody wants to be a designer, they also want, to create all these nice things. And basically, introduces a lot of noise. So must happen is an imperative. And at the end of it, design is practice first, before it's an accomplishment. So when we look at design, we can always think of design as the accomplishment, as the achievement that we're doing, or as the practice that creates this accomplishment. And the process of design is actually how we generate what we want to create. And here, in terms of business design projects, we see a clear understanding that we need to move away from desire manifestations. When you're looking at startups, the most important things that they're telling people who want to start a startup is, you have this beautiful idea. Unless it's validated, unless it's feasible, unless it's sellable. So we need to understand exactly how to accomplish a mission. And the design becomes this engagement with, let's see what needs to happen so something else might happen. So there's a proliferation of design tools. It's much easier to make a poster. It's much easier to make a rendering. It's much easier to make, even to build some technology. So let's sell it to more people, but basically do the same thing. But let's look at new forms that can be created within the particular domains. And this actually requires a certain shift in perspective from becoming kind of radical revolutionists. So we want to change the world into, let's do some disruptive increments. Okay, so very, very small changes that actually eventually change the rules of the game. And as a conclusion, and to sort of lessons from business design projects, a good integrated design is a design that doesn't default. Engaging in this design doesn't send us yelling back into our existing habits and kind of traditional perceptions. So if we're able to do these amazing new forms and new architectures, approaching them in an integrated design perspective would mean that they'll be so successful that we wouldn't go back towards doing tiling afterwards. Thank you.